to refresh, if you haven't
If they were purple, then it's better.
If you haven't heard the Lurcast, that was right there. If you haven't heard the Lurcast, we everybody told a story of theirs that was embarrassing. For example, I will actually tell a new fresh one. When I was in high school, I was one of those cool kids. No, I was not. I was not cool at all. But I really wanted to get dreadlocks. So I decided. No, this is 14-year-old Kathleen because I was very rock. I was really cool. I had all the hemp necklaces because it was the late '90s.
I'm just trying to imagine you.
Oh yeah, and I was really poor, so I wore a lot of like thrift store clothes, but funky ones. So anyhow, I was trying to get dreadlocks. Can you imagine me with dreadlocks? No.
Yes.
Anyhow, but of course, I didn't know how to get dreadlocks. So rather than consult anybody or like look it up in a book, this is like kind of like pre-Google, I guess. I guess there was Dogpile, but anyhow, ooh, perfect. Yeah, Rasta Kathleen. I decided I would just stop washing my hair and let the dreadlocks happen. I did not know that was so. Like, I went in school when I was 14 without washing my hair for probably a month, and I was like, why are they not happening? I had no idea, and it was just like the grossest, greasiest thing, and I was like really unpopular, and this made me more so. So it was so disgusting. So yeah, Kathleen with dreadlocks would look dreadful. So that is a small cringy story. The one on the podcast is better, I think. It's more cringy. So does anybody else want to share an embarrassing story from their childhood? Alex, you have so many.
I wish I had my notes on me.
You need to consult notes.
No, well, the last cringe story segment we did on the podcast, I took notes before. I'm trying to think of any other ones where like something exploded, because there's a lot of those.
Your stories aren't so much cringe inspiring for you.
Like the time I almost died.
Well, they're cringe inspiring for me because I'm like, how is he alive? You could retell the one about the fire with you and Raymond.
Sure. The rest is like anybody who hasn't seen the podcast probably doesn't know about this one. So, the lessons you learn the best are the ones you learn hard.
Yeah.
So my brother and I were in our backyard. I mean, like, I say backyard, I mean, it was just like you'd open the back door and it would lead out onto like concrete, and there was like a sort of paved area around the back. And we were melting crayons. Because you put fire under a crayon and
it's wax.
And it turns into liquid, and it's cool because, we were like 15, probably less. And it's fun. And so we were melting crayons and it caught fire. It was a little tin can with like a Bunsen or like some sort of candle under it or something, and it caught fire and it was burning away, and I panicked. Raymond stayed cool. I panicked and I was like, ugh! And I immediately started shrieking at him to go get some water.
Now, why is that a bad idea?
Well, you see, you never try to put a liquid fire out with water, because it's a terrible idea, and we'll get to that. But Raymond actually knew what was up. But at the time, he had a stutter, and he was trying to tell me that I was wrong.
You need, like,
but I just steamrolled right over him. It's like, no, go get water now, always water, more water. And so he obligingly, went and got a cup of water, brought it back, handed it to me.
Raymond is a saint.
Yeah, and I poured it into the can.
No, come on, pour it. You were probably like, bleh.
And I was probably like, bleh. And a 6-foot column of fire shot out of it. Just. And I was like, ah! So yeah, I learned that lesson pretty hard. We didn't burn the house down.
Yeah, I'm proud of you.
Yeah, it was one of those things where you just like immediately knew you screwed up. And it's like, whoops.
Oh. Does your dad know that happened?
I think so.
Oh.
We probably told him.
That's an interesting look for you.
Yeah, I told one of my cringe stories. Somebody requested more. Do you have a cringe a short one to share? Does anybody else have one?
So the brief end point to this is like, if you encounter a liquid fire, you need to smother it. Don't ever add water.
The moral of this story.
Bad.
Yeah.
No
Alex, 6-foot column of fire, Stacy.
Kristen, do you want to share a cringe story?
Sure. As a child, I grew up in a family that we did a lot of road trips. It was road tripping. We road tripped everywhere. However, I was I still am incredibly prone to motion sickness. And my parents were very unsympathetic to this. So most of our road trips were, my father once said we could write a book called Places Chrissy Has Puked. and that it would be perfectly accurate. I vomited my way across the country and much of Europe, actually, as a small child. And it was just such a non-thing. It was like, pull over, Kristen's gonna barf, okay, bleh, I would barf, and then we would move on. And this normally was, like I said, non-events, but every once in a while it would get pretty exciting. Like this one time in New Hampshire where we pulled over in the parking lot of some waterfall, and I didn't make it very far out of the car, so it was like in the parking lot, and then a tour bus pulls up, and I swear to God, the driver opened the door directly above this pool of vomit, and all the people, like, it was like dominoes, because the first tourist goes to jump off the bus, and they're like, oh God! And they kind of like hop around it, and then another one crashes into them, and then they're all backing up onto the bus. And some woman starts pulling tissue out of her purse, and they're laying tissue, like Walter Raleigh over this ocean of barf. And my family, there was like, my brothers pretended that they didn't know us. My father is studiously admiring the landscape, the beautiful trees. And I'm trying to clean up, and everyone's just kind of wandering off. And then another time was actually in Portugal, where we were just arrived at the place we were staying, and it was a palace. It was like a converted palace. They did this really cool thing in Portugal that they took a lot of the public buildings that they call them pousadas, and castles and palaces and things like that were taken over by the state and turned into hotels, places you can go stay, and these gorgeous historic buildings. And there's one that's got this amazing marble balcony all the way around it. It's a hunting lodge somewhere in the mountains. And I run out of the car and I'm booking it, and for some reason I decide to go to the end of the balcony, like not over the sides, but go all the way, run all the way down to this marble balcony to the end, over the edge, which is directly over the shipping access for the hotel, which we didn't realize. And there were a bunch of workers unloading a truck. And like I got 3 guys. Is one of the movie? One of them was wearing a flat cap. And he's just like, and they look up, and he pulls off his hat, and they're looking up at me, and I was 8 years old, and I'm like, sorry. And he looks at his hat, and he shakes his hat, and he just starts swearing. And they're all yelling and screaming, and I'm like, my parents are way behind me because I run down this long corridor. But yeah, 3 guys, 1 barf. It was pretty amazing. So yeah, those were my 2 most impressive vomits.
I like the way that each time the rest of your family is like, I don't know.
Oh, they totally, like, they didn't know me. I was just some weird tourist.
Triple count.
I don't know. That's my Kringe story.
This is better than Chunk's puke story from the Goonies.
I was pretty much, I modeled myself after Chunk. And complete lack of sympathy from everybody else in my family. They thought I should just, barf.
Yeah, it's the hat trick.
Yeah, the hat trick. 3 guys. It's true.
And also you hit his hat.
I did. The other 2, they weren't even wearing hats, though.
So before we get to more cringe stories, Tally, do you have a